to address in the order I want to address it. You in here acting silly. The most ignorant stuff I done seen in here in a long time. You all are just, this is shameful. And in this moment, just when I thought these kids had pulled off a plot against both of you all, these children have come in here, whether they made a mistake or not, they have spoken from their heart or why they did something.
Nobody did anything to you, honey.
I don't care.
Nobody
do nothing to me, but I don't like you.
Hey.
Stop talking to me then.
Nobody, that's you owe one.
No, excuse me.
You know you slept with somebody else.
Miss Hooker.
Miss Hooker.
No.
Mr. Campbell is 1,000% sure that Zoe is his daughter because her mom, Ms. Hopper, told him that he was the father. But Ms. Hopper says she was flip-flopping, and now she wants to be honest and says that Mr. Campbell cannot be the father.
So you say Ms. Hopper told you that you were the father?
Yes.
And then changed her mind?
Yes. Every time we get into a fight, all of a sudden I'm not the father anymore.
So when you're doing fine, you're the father?
Yeah.
Then when you get into an argument, you're not the father?
Yes.
And so now we're currently stuck on not the father?
Yeah.
Mr. Campbell says Ms. Hopper is basically an unrepentant liar. When she was pregnant, she told him that he was the father. And now she is saying there is no chance in hell that he can be the father.
Yes, that's when she was pregnant. After she had the baby, when the baby was about 6 months old, that's when she told me that I could be the father. And like every time, because I FaceTime her on Facebook, and she has Zoe call me daddy.
I've never made her call her daddy. She does that by herself.
Well, she does it by herself because she thinks that's her daddy.
My ex-boyfriend isn't in her life.
Of course he isn't. But how did this relationship even get here? Mr. Campbell used to date Ms. Hopper, so how did the ex-boyfriend even get into the picture? What is happening here anyway?
You get pregnant by maybe your ex or maybe Mr. Campbell.
I was actually seeing both of them at the same time. And
so this wasn't a cheating thing, this was a parallel thing.
Pretty much, yes.
Okay, this is what we want, the truth. Go ahead.
And I just kind of thought maybe it was both of them.
That is insane. And you know what is even worse? Mr. Campbell had no clue that Ms. Hopper was seeing him and her ex at the same time. In fact, he had no clue till she got pregnant and then told him about it. Here is how the rest of the pregnancy went.
Okay, so that's why we're here. How long did you continue this parallel affair?
For about a month. And then I was with my ex-boyfriend. He was pretty much there through the pregnancy. He was there.
Your ex-boyfriend?
Yes.
So he went to doctor's appointments?
Yes. And I did give him her last name, and he is on the birth certificate.
Yeah, exactly, Ms. Hopper. What is going on? You would not believe it, but our dear Ms. Hopper has a fantastic explanation for her flip-flopping. And that explanation is that, well, the child did look a bit like Mr. Campbell as a toddler. Don't believe me? Well, listen to her say it herself.
Younger, when she's about 6 months old, she did look a lot like him. She had a lot of, she had really big cheeks, she was really chunky, so she did have a lot of features of him. But now she looks a lot like my ex-boyfriend.
So you're just looking at the child and you're telling him yes, you're telling him no, you're telling him.
I've only told him that there's a possibility.
This is one very unique case. Now, Ms. Hopper has said she only said that it was a possibility that Mr. Campbell was the father. But Mr. Campbell's mom has evidence that all of that was a lie, and that she indeed told Mr. Campbell that he was the father of the child without a doubt.
Oh, okay.
And I said, okay, nice to hear from you. And she said thanks.
That was cordial, Mom.
We began to talk, and we had a conversation and everything, and I did ask her, I said, you really believe he is the father? And she said, my daughter looks like him, he is really the only possibility.
Yeah, just as we expected. Ms. Hopper is trying to wiggle out of being caught in a clear lie, but Judge Lauren is not going to let that fly. So she sits up and does the next best thing. She tries to put the attention on someone else.
Your Honor, I've given him chances to take a DNA test, and he refused to do it because there's a girl he was with. So...
Did you refuse the DNA test, Mr. Campbell?
Yes.
You did? So why bring her to court today? I mean, you refused the test?
I'm just really ready to find out or not. I wasn't in the right state of mind.
Mr. Campbell's mom thinks that Ms. Hopper was speaking to them because she wanted to get presents for her kids, and not because she actually thought that the baby belonged to Mr. Campbell. She was basically playing them like a fiddle. And it gets even worse.
What did she say?
She was just claiming how someone's dad and talking about different paternity tests with other men. And then I was even seeing...
You were talking about paternity tests on Facebook with other men?
There has not been a paternity test for her at all.
Oh, Your Honor, she has told me that she got a DNA test for the other possible father and that he wasn't the father.
Yeah, somehow I don't believe that, Ms. Hopper. Interestingly, Mr. Campbell's mother has never actually met Zoe despite spending a fortune on gifts for her. Ms. Hopper is one dangerous woman, and the only way to fix her is to see what the DNA test says.
Mr. Campbell, you are not the father. I'm sorry. I know you really wanted to be her dad. Ms. Hopper, I wasn't sure where you were in this equation. I could never get a read, but I do see tears in your eyes in this moment. What are you feeling?
I don't know. I was kind of hoping that he was.
Yeah.
Ms. Dixon wanted her husband to catch her cheating on him, and now that he has caught her, he is claiming that he is not the father of her child. But conniving Ms. Dixon isn't having it and says that Mr. Hunt, her husband, is her child's father, no matter what.
Mr. Hunt, you are convinced you did not father 14-month-old Tanea. You say today's DNA results will determine the future of your marriage. Is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
You were ordered by couples court judges Dana and Keith Cutler to appear in my courtroom after prior infidelity was confirmed in their court.
Yes,
Take
Your
a
Honor.
look.
Ms. Dixon said she had cheated on Mr. Hunt because he left her for a month, and then she had orchestrated a scenario where he caught her cheating on him just to get back at him. And of course, Mr. Hunt here did not find that funny at all.
He would leave and stay gone sometimes for periods of times.
I left for a month.
I cheated. He had caught me, actually. Had caught me cheating.
In the act?
In the act, yes.
Yes.
How did you catch her?
Coming home from work, and there's this car in the parking lot.
I was intentionally trying to hurt him, so I was not trying to hide that I was cheating. I'm not gonna lie.
Yes.
I was intentionally.
Wow, she is insane. This is one dangerous woman, and then a couple of months later, she got pregnant. But now, Ms. Dixon is saying that the child definitely belongs to her husband. What are the chances of that being true at all?
You had sex with this guy one time out in front of the house.
Yeah.
Was it protected?
No.
So unprotected sex with this guy one time out in front of your house, but when you get pregnant, do you just tell your husband I'm pregnant, or do you tell the other guy too?
I never told him.
So just tell your husband.
Yeah.
Once she tells you, Mr. Hunt, what was your response?
Everything else just went out of the window. I was just happy to.
So it was unprotected. Next time you want to let your husband catch you cheating just to make him envious, try to use protection. Then Mr. Hunt drops one of the biggest accusations we have ever seen on paternity court. He thinks his brother could be the father.
My brother was there though.
That's like my little brother. I wouldn't let him sleep out on the streets.
But realize I'm
Get
talking
outta
to her on the
here.
phone every day, right? And why did she mention this for a minute? And she's never said
He
anything.
wasn't even there for
So
that.
are you insinuating that you believe your brother could be Tanea's biological father?
It's a possibility.
The witness is Ms. Dixon's aunt, and she is even testifying on the side of Mr. Hunt. And what could her testimony be? Well, before she could even testify, she got into a huge fight with Ms. Dixon.
Ms. Cooper, you are what relation to the defendant?
I'm her aunt.
You are the plaintiff's aunt.
Oh, yes.
This is interesting. You believe that Ms. Dixon was being intimate with her husband's brother?
It's a possibility.
And why would you think that's a possibility? That's your family member. What makes you think that's a possibility?
I mean, because she clearly cheated.
Whoa, for your aunt to betray you like that on TV? That is something that even this court does not see that often. Anyway, Ms. Dixon says that she might have cheated on her husband, but she would never cheat on him with his own brother. At least she has some morals.
There's also been testimony that indicates that you potentially could have gotten into a sexual relationship with Ms. Dixon and could be Tanea's biological father. Do you believe you are Tanea's biological father?
No, ma'am.
Do you admit to having a sexual relationship with Ms. Dixon?
No, ma'am.
Well, we have to take him at his word. It is time to see the results and put this case to rest. Is this Mr. Hunt's child, or does the baby belong to his brother? Or maybe the child is for someone else. It is time for us to find out.
Mr. Chris Hunt, you are not the father. Mr. Stephen Hunt, you are not the father. You are not the biological.
No.
Who the daddy, Janae?
No, it's no possibility of nobody else being her dad, except for the guy that I cheated with, but
The DNA doesn't lie.
In this case, the plaintiff, Mr. Calhoun, claimed that his girlfriend, Ms. Prout, tricked him into believing he was the father of her child. After finding evidence that she had been sleeping with other men, he claimed that the DNA results would show that he was not the father.
Mr. Calhoun, you say the defendant tried to trick you into believing you are her daughter Amaya's biological father. But after uncovering evidence that she slept with other men, you are positive the DNA will prove you are not. Is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
It seems that Mr. Calhoun was not ready to have a romantic relationship with the defendant. Even after he made it clear he did not want a relationship, they continued to kick it in bed, and after some time, Ms. Prout found out she was pregnant.
You still continued to have sex with him after he made it clear he didn't want to be in a relationship?
Correct, Your Honor, I did.
And at some point you found out you pregnant?
Yes, ma'am. Me and a family member of his, we went to the store. I bought a pregnancy test, went back to his house, took the test. It was positive. The lines were fainted. The next day I told him and showed him the test, but we were both in disbelief.
That's not true, Your Honor.
Wow, Mr. Calhoun really didn't want anything serious with Ms. Prout. Blocking her on all social media is just very extreme. Mr. Calhoun told the judge that he believed she had taken fertility pills to get pregnant just because she wanted to be with him.
She called me and said that she had took fertility medicine to get pregnant by me, and she got exactly what she wanted out of me.
Oh, did you say that, Ms. Prout?
No, Your Honor, that was not what said. I did not take any fertility pills. Once I found out I was pregnant, let me tell you how crazy. This is the crazy part. I did not believe I was pregnant. I went to about 4 or 5 different emergency rooms.
I mean, they were not using protection while kicking it in bed, so why doesn't she believe she is pregnant? Now, Ms. Prout had her calendar showing the window of conception, which placed Mr. Calhoun as the father of the baby. When asked if he agreed with the dates, he said this.
When you look at that window of conception, Mr. Calhoun, do you have any issue
Yes, ma'am.
with the dates?
Yes, Your Honor.
You don't believe you were intimate on
there's
July
no issue with the dates, but I'm saying I feel like I have reason to believe that she was intimate with other dudes besides me during those dates.
Really?
How do you have reason to believe that?
I have reason to believe that after a conversation that me and Ms. Prout had on the phone, she told me.
Now, it all makes sense. Mr. Calhoun was not the only man she was sleeping with at the time. Funny enough, Ms. Prout did not deny messing with another man. She claimed that she did sleep with someone else, but cut ties with the person before the window of conception.
Your Honor, what's true is I was having sex with someone, but this was way before these 2 weeks. It was 2 weeks prior I had stopped messing with somebody else because I knew I was going to run into him at the party. At the end of the day, he really denied my baby because he on child support. Period. Point. That's it.
It has no. It has
been back
no
and
deal
forth.
with child support,
One minute I'm the daddy, I'm happy, whoop-de-whoop, blam.
Now, why would she lie about the hospital not being able to perform a DNA test? What could she possibly be hiding? Mr. Calhoun told the judge that even though he had signed the birth certificate, he still had doubts about the paternity.
My doubts come from, I'm walking to the store. I get to the store, I run into 2 neighborhood partners that I knew growing up, and they're like, you got a baby by Miss Prout? And I'm like, yeah, supposedly. She says her little girl is mine. And they tell me, that's crazy because she said she had a baby by me before. And when I asked her to produce the paperwork.
Oh boy, that has to sting. I wouldn't want to be in his shoes after hearing something like that. Now, here is the crazy thing. He was not just talking. He had evidence to prove that what he was saying was true.
From Mr. Calhoun, why are you posting this pic if you said I was the father? From Kia, Miss Prout, you a dumb blank. You signed the birth certificate knowing you ain't the father, and then you changed her last name while I was still drugged up.
I posted it, Your Honor. Yeah.
You a dumb blank.
Yeah.
And the only thing
But now you standing here saying you the father. I don't know why you denying it. I know why he denying it.
After saying and posting that conversation on Facebook, I don't believe a word coming out of her mouth. Now, there was a witness in the courtroom, and she happened to be Ms. Prout's godsister.
My godsister was having unprotected sex with another man. Also, before he came into the picture, myself and also other members felt that my godsister was already pregnant because of her demeanor.
What do you mean?
Her mood changed. She was very moody. So when he did come into the picture, they had unprotected sex, of course.
Wow, now that has to be one hell of a revelation. Anyway, there is only one way to find out the truth, and that is to reveal the DNA test. Without wasting any time, the judge revealed the results, and this was her verdict.
Mr. Calhoun, you are the father. Woo!
Wow, that's crazy. That's really crazy.
Why are you so upset, Miss Proud?
Y'all don't know what I've been through with this man. Like, this whole beef thing, I can't co-parent like that. Either we gonna co-parent the right way or it's just not gonna happen and we can go to court and figure it out like that.
Sounds crazy, but what would you do if you saw a girl wearing tight pants? Would you slide into her bed by selling dreams of wedding bells, as the man did in this case? Mr. Wiggins rolled up in court seeking Judge Lake's help to get back his family.
Mr. Wiggins, you are here in court to prove that you are not the father of Miss Dave's child, Aubrey Wiggins, and say today's results will change your life. Is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
Ms. Davis, you claim that Mr. Wiggins knows he's the father of your child and is trying to deny her because he already has 3 children and doesn't want to step up and be a father. Is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
Wow, a brief separation gave him the pass to sleep with another woman. It turned out that in no time, he was up to jiggery-pokery with Miss Davis, yet he wanted to free himself from accusations of being a father to a baby girl.
We was never together.
Almost 2.5 years?
Yes, sir. Yes,
I was married, Your Honor. I mean,
yeah, married, but
it just, you know, it kind of went longer than it should have.
But your hope is that if you can prove that Aubrey is not your biological child, that you can convince your ex-wife, you know, the woman, I guess she left because of this situation?
Yes, ma'am.
Further, the defendant claimed that they had been in a committed relationship for 2 years. The man admitted to manipulating and lying to this young lady for his gain, yet blaming her was the reason he lost track of his family. Oh my. What type of man is he?
right.
Did you think you were in a relationship?
I was. I knew I was in a relationship.
You did?
2.5
We
years
were
we
not.
was together.
I was telling her what I felt I needed to tell her to ultimately get what I wanted. I mean, in a
Obviously,
short
And
period.
you might have gotten more than you bargained
Right.
for, right?
He did. He did. A child.
And so why did you think you were in a relationship, Ms. Davis?
He stated that multiple times.
Was he telling you there was going to be a future?
Yes.
The next Judge Lake hopped into the pregnancy. It slipped out that Mr. Wiggins' mistress wanted his wife out of his life because she expected to have her whole life with him. So he put on his deception hat and duped baby mama like this.
So she kind of told people, and then I asked her to let me tell my wife. And of course, because she wanted my wife out of the picture, because she did want more.
You're right. I wanted more because that's what you presented.
And I was good to her. I mean, because ultimately I was trying to get something out of her. So I did what I had to do. I felt I needed to do.
Like 2.5 years, how we're not together.
However, he asserted that Miss Davis approached his wife on Facebook and disrupted his married life. Oh man, are you out of your mind? I mean, he has no control over his desires. And yet, has the defendant been inoculated for the havoc? That just makes no sense.
Miss Davis told her that she was pregnant and that she wasn't going anywhere. She inboxed her on Facebook, which
Right.
caused a lot of havoc in my life.
You wasn't gonna be a man.
Did it cause the havoc or did you cause the havoc?
He did, cause, right.
Miss Davis immediately was like, "What? It doesn't matter what nobody else think. Oh, I ain't going nowhere."
Right,
there was
'cause you
this
lay down with me. You
disposition.
Okay, so the next chronicles of Wiggins started. He claimed that the mommy had been busy with another man at the time she conceived the baby because he sent some text messages on her phone. So that's why he was denying paternity.
We got into a bit of an altercation. I don't remember the exact details. And my family member seen her be picked up by another guy
That was my cousin.
that
I
she
wasn't
claims
big.
to be her cousin. However, it's a coincidence that while we were at the hotel, she happened to be taking a shower, and I think I was using her tab for something, maybe
phone.
scrolling on Facebook, and this guy inboxes about meeting her again, and she's telling him, "Oh, I need some more
I never
loving."
slept with him.
To prove his sham show right, the alleged father brought an exhibit to the court. He alleged that Miss Davis had fabricated his name on the birth certificate, but how she forged his name was quite interesting.
Einstein or anything, but I'm educated enough to know my own birth date. This is the birth certificate. Apparently she knew my name. This is the birth date that's listed on Aubrey's birth certificate. My birthday is November the 9th, 1990.
The one
this
you wrote.
says 11/11/1990.
And
I
you
didn't
wrote.
write anything. And also in the state of Florida, because I was married, I wasn't just supposed to go on her birth certificate.
Until now, it was apparent that Mr. Wiggin was a compulsive liar who made sham allegations about baby mama, and he was clowning just to defend himself. Further, it came out that they were still sleeping together, and it ticked Judge Lake. So she articulated the reality like this.
At the same time, 2 different answers.
Right.
Exact same time.
When was the last time you two were intimate?
It's been a while.
Last night.
No, Your Honor, we was at separate hotels, no, Your Honor. That's not,
And you made your way to my hotel.
that is not true,
Right.
Your Honor. We did go to dinner, Your Honor. But
And afterward?
I went to my respective places.
No, he came to my room.
Mr. Wiggins, you look like you lying.
No, because
Yeah, Judge Lake was right. He was playing on both sides of the fence, yet he contended that he wanted to get back his family. However, their back and forth did not help and made things more complicated. So the last hope to get closure was to reveal the DNA results.
Mr. Wiggins, you are the father. Miss Davis, what are you feeling?
I've been going through this for a long time, like between him and his wife. Like,
it's his child.
Right.
You are the father. You have the clarity you need.
I'm gonna take care of my child.
Good.
That's all I ask.
But you also have to deal with this thing you all have.
Yes, ma'am.
3 children from 2 women are after him in paternity court. Mr. Herron, Mr. Medley, and Ms. Johnson are adamant about Mr. Medley Sonar being their father. One thing may separate them, considering that they may not be from the same mother. But this trio is here for one common cause.
He wasn't in my life. Why would you give me your full name as a junior? Why would you sign my birth certificate if you deny me as
like we was her grandkids? She
told
told us no matter what.
Here we go, again with a semblance card. Everyone keeps grasping at straws with this semblance card. But Mr. Medley, why sign a baby's birth certificate and give him your entire name if you're going to deny him in court 30 years later? If he ends up not being his son, the poor guy just might have an identity crisis.
Well, why were you never there for us? That's what I want to know. Me and my brother and sister want to know, why were you never there for us?
Let me ask you a question. If you had a child with a woman and you didn't believe it was yours, would you be there?
Personally, and you ask me that, I would. I would be the man.
Whoops, the man has a good point. Waiting 30 years to get a DNA test is so unbelievably late. Now, how are they going to trace back the baby's fathers back 30 years? What if the mothers are really old with Alzheimer's? Way too much time has passed.
I died 3 times in the hospital because of you, man. And I hate you for that. I want to let you know that.
And on top of that, what he just said, I remember I was about 1, and I remember his mom being at the hospital. My family was there.
Well, damn, this entire case is so emotional. It really is a mystery, too. A mind-boggling one at that. Regardless of the fact that they're getting paternity tests done 3 decades later, it's a mystery that this man was not present 30 years ago as well.
My brother took me in. Make sure, so me and my brothers wouldn't get split up.
That's how they got divorced, was after that. After he got burnt, that's when they got divorced.
Oh my goodness.
Would you look at that? This man blames himself for his parents splitting up. He held all of this guilt and kept it bottled up within himself. All of the invalidation he felt growing up really did keep building up into everything he's feeling right now. The only way to get to the bottom of this is getting the results.
In the case of Herron Medley v. Medley, pertaining to whether Victor Medley Sr. is the biological father of Victor Medley Jr.
Isn't that something? He's not just the father, but he's both their fathers. To think that this man has lived all his life believing that he's not the father of these two? Now, there's one left. Is the fate of Ms. Johnson going to be similar to that of Mr. Herron and Mr. Medley? Is it going to be different? Let's find out.
This is enough. I just need to know what's the name of my dad. So she told me his name was Victor Medley, but you are not to contact him while you were in my house. I'm like, okay, well, I can't contact him while I'm in your house.
Did you ask her why?
Yes, I did.
Just a bad relationship, huh? Well, isn't that just something? What sort of bad relationship between the two would get them to be so uncivil towards one another? Also, why exactly would Mr. Medley deny those 2 boys but be so accepting towards Ms. Johnson, despite his bad relationship with her mom too?
Could you help me with my van, because my van broke down?
Right.
You know I got a special needs daughter.
Right.
You sent me a picture of you on your bus. Oh, I drive a special needs bus. This is such a coincidence. Oh, I'm so happy.
What a guy this man is turning out to be. Now it feels like he keeps pretending to show up, but he truly does not care about his kids, or even their kids too. To think that everyone thought he denied the boys, but not Ms. Johnson. Turns out he denied having any kids at all.
Why are these results so important to you?
Because it will give me closure. I mean, I know. I look like him. Look at the picture. I look like Maurice. I look like Victor. I'm the oldest, and he's...
Would you look at that? He accused the other moms of promiscuity, but look at him having sex with 2 different women during the same time frame and having 3 children. What a guy. Really, this man is definitely not taking the medal for Father of the Year. Let's get to the results.
Mr. Medley Sr., you are not her father. Mr. Medley, what are you feeling now?
I don't know. I thought she was my daughter.
Ms. Johnson, if you didn't know before, somewhere underneath all of that tough exterior.
The most unseen thing is happening in court today. Mr. Fegan is here today to prove that Ms. Pinkston is his biological daughter. She is not having any of it. She says her real father is the man that raised her. She just met Mr. Fegan when she turned 16. Now, here they are, 30 years later. This case is mysterious as it is unusual.
I met Mr. Fagan here when I was 16 years old. I never knew of him, never heard nothing about him. And then all of a sudden one day, my mom decided to take me with her to a friend's house.
Oh my goodness. Would you look at that? It's even worse than we thought. Her mother really said it so casually too. She simply mentioned that the man she's known all her life means absolutely nothing to her. This new man, however, is her father. How does that even work? Especially saying it to a teenager too.
Yeah, okay. Did you know she was married?
Well, yes, at the time, it was wrong what we did.
How long did the affair last?
5 or 6 months, maybe somewhere. I mean, she came to me before I left the job and told me that she was...
Now the mystery has just started to unravel. It was an affair all those years ago? Phew, we're just getting started here. Now, how would this woman have felt, knowing her status as the product of an affair from her mom that must have hurt her father, Mr. Pinkston, so badly? What a sad thing, really.
That was like the worst day of my life because my mom sit down, she goes, "This is your father." I'm like, "No, my dad is at work, so what in the world are you talking about?" And next thing you know, there's tears everywhere. Everybody's crying.
Imagine that. This is a 16-year-old we're talking about. What did her mom expect? Did she think she'd tell her thank you and ask for an ice cream date with her new dad so she'd get to know him? She really called that event in itself the worst day of her life.
My dad passed away never knowing this secret from the time I was 16 until I was 27. We never spoke of this subject, ever.
So at 16 years old, you were called upon to keep this secret as well?
Yes.
She kept the secret for how many years? Whoa. The man that raised her really had no idea up until he passed on. It's almost like she kept the secret of her mom's affair for them. It's the wildest thing to ask a teenager to hold that sort of secret for you, Mr. Fagan.
She never would call me her father or...
I never called my father because my father died. So it never felt right to call some other man dad when my dad passed away.
And I understood that, you know, I did. It hurt me that she couldn't, and
Of course she didn't call you dad. How would she? After all of the love she has for her father that raised her, do you really think she would leave all of that behind for you with whom she has no relationship whatsoever, Mr. Fagan? Especially after you and her mother have burdened the poor girl with that unbearable secret.
Want to tell me about it, how come they didn't just let everything out the bag and everybody sit down and everybody talk about it?
I can't imagine having to get such life-altering news.
Oh well, they say if nothing is wrong with something, then there's no need to try fixing it. Miss Pinkston really loved her father who raised her, it seems. She absolutely adored him. She must have seen this man, Mr. Fagan, as an imposter at that point in her life, almost like the man was trying to take the happiness away from her, whereas all he wanted was love from his daughter.
And I heard it, but I act like I didn't hear it.
What did you hear?
That Kitty was her father.
Who did you hear say that?
My mom and a couple friends. This is something my mom didn't want none of her kids to know.
Now, take a look at that. Kids all over the family really were affected by this news from such a young age. One would think that kids are not listening or they don't understand, but this is real proof that they are listening and in fact do understand. Ms. Pinkston's sister is trying so hard, but she still can't make a concrete sentence because she thinks it's so unfair.
It means a lot because Tanya would be my only surviving child. I lost my son, and they were awful close.
Yes.
They were closer than me and her.
Really?
I was very close to him.
Did you?
Isn't that just the saddest thing? She is his only surviving child. What are the odds that his son and her brother died? This woman has really been through grief time and time again. Now here she is, facing paternity court and trying to figure out who her real father is. There's only one way to settle this. Let's get to the results.
Mr. Fagan.
Yes.
You are not her father.
Oh my God.
Oh Lord, no.
Oh,
oh no.
This is the wildest thing. 3 M's Williams are in court today against their mother. You didn't see that coming, huh? They claim that this woman has never been a good mom and she is promiscuous to the end. What a testament from your own daughters. What could this woman have possibly done to get her kids to talk about her like this?
One thing I tell you about my 3 daughters, they are manipulators. Just like me, just like me, they are liars, just like me. It's the truth.
We're not even
It's
her
the
kids.
Oh, now we see the big picture. The 3 children have been labeled liars and manipulators just like their mother. What a bunch. What could have happened in their lifetime to warrant this sort of behavior from both parties? These women really mentioned that their mother is promiscuous and they want to get back at her.
No, this is my
my mother, but she does not notice him. He calls out her name. Who are you? He's talking about some, so you don't know who I am. She's talking about some, I don't know you. Talking about some, yes you do. She's talking about some, oh, Lisa, they're your daddy. Guys, you're not gonna know this is my daddy when you look at him.
What a chaotic bunch. Now the mom and daughters are really having a go at each other. They've had the funniest experiences together even. What do you mean you met a random man at the gas station and called him your baby's father?
Wait a minute, y'all love me when I can do something for y'all.
Let's get some order. Let's calm down. I know these issues are difficult to deal with. Ms. Liddell, Lisa stated there was a gentleman.
Just look at them go. These kids feel so wronged by this woman. They do not care about how she did not love herself at any point during their childhood. She really has been bottling everything within herself.
This is the man that you were told was your father. Now he's expressed that he doesn't truly believe he's your father.
Right, yes ma'am.
And you in turn have that same feeling. You've never felt in your heart when you saw this man or...
Whoa, now even their dad too? So they didn't have their mother there for them? But when they turned to their father, he removed himself from their midst as well. It's no wonder they're so in sync. It's crazy. These women have had to be there for themselves throughout their lives.
Why did you miss my 8th grade graduation? You weren't away. You were out. You were able to come. Why did you miss it, Jamie? Because I was a piece of like I'm not gonna keep down on myself, but I didn't care about y'all.
Wait a minute. Just hold on a minute. Ms. Liddell just agreed that she should have had Jamie aborted. Why would you say something so nasty, Ms. Liddell? No matter how silly she talks back at you or whatever she says, she's still a human being and she's still your daughter? What kind of relationship do these women even have?
I know you're trying to tell them the truth, the way you were, but you have to be careful about the words used with children, with young people.
That's right, Judge Lake. The more horrible words you say, the worse you're going to just keep messing the heads of these women up. They already had you absent in their lives as well as their father, so all of this is really unnecessary. What's the point using your pain to hurt people, Ms. Little?
Let's get some order. Ladies,
Try to learn.
ladies,
Try.
ladies.
I just want
She
to get away from her.
tells the truth.
Oh my goodness, yes, this is so real. Ms. Little has been so honest with these women, saying everything she has been doing from their childhood up until now. This woman knows she has been unavailable and she owns up for it. Nobody is asking these women to forgive her immediately, but at least give her a chance to even speak.
You can stay up in the comfy victim chair because it suits you well a lot of times. It gets comfortable. Ain't nothing gone right for me because this person did this to me. And it's true, they did it to you. Ain't nothing gone right for me.
Judge Lake is giving these women the best advice they could ask for. Sure, they've been hurt. They've been hurt all their lives, in fact. But the more they allow this hurt to eat at their lives, the more obvious it is that they are not going anywhere. Now to wrap everything up, we'll get to hear the results of this shocking case.
Mr. William, you are her father.
He did something. He straight dropped his head like, oh.
It was out of happiness.
This man waited 27 years to tell his daughter that he is not her father. Mr. Scales is a football player and the presumed father of Ms. Williams all her life. However, his wife cheated on him with a fellow player on his team. What a woman. Now he's in paternity court to find out which of his daughters is truly his.
I was 27 at the time. When I spoke with my mom, she had talked to him about the fact that he was questioning paternity of me. When I hung up with her, I had a conversation with him.
Whoa, it was up until 5 years ago she heard about all of this. Mr. Scales found out about his wife cheating in 1983, but decided to bring it up just now. What could possibly be the reason for that? This entire thing is like a mystery and it makes no sense.
If he wants me to have balance in my life, that's a very critical time, I feel, in anybody's life at that age. In your late 20s, you're trying to find yourself, you're trying to figure some things out, and for that to be something thrown in the mix.
Oh well, no time is a great time to hear such news, Ms. Williams. Whether you're 27, 5, or even 50, news of the man you've known to be your father all your life turning out to be false is news that would break you down no matter the phase of life you're currently in.
Well, that wasn't fair for me to have to question that at 27 years old.
I'm your parent. I'm not your friend. I'm not your associate. I'm a parent, and I have responsibilities and duties.
Well, well, well. Would you look at that? What a guy. Some parts of what this man says is right, but phew, what a guy. Wait, was he waiting for their mom to tell her all this while? He was waiting patiently for her to spill the beans for 27 years, but he happens to have known before she was even born.
And the ramifications and repercussions of her mother's action.
Why would you sign my birth certificate if you felt like you were not my biological father?
I never signed your birth certificate, Elisa.
Is that the evidence you have?
Yes, Your Honor.
I'd like to see that. Please hand me that evidence, Ron.
Look at that. He really knew from day one. He was so sure about it too that he did not sign that birth certificate. So how exactly is this man in court today after 27 years? What exactly was his plan? Why wait for so long? This is just so mind-bogglingly crazy.
Listen, as harsh as Mr. Scales is in this moment, and I do believe his delivery is harsh, I'm wondering when would be the optimal time to say this.
If you don't feel the need to bring it up at the beginning, where you really felt strongly everything was in question.
Well, okay. Are we even 100% certain that this woman really isn't Mr. Scales' daughter? There are starting to be similarities between the two, but let's see how that goes. With what Ms. Williams just stated, it seems as though she wishes to be ignorant about the entire situation till now, if she had her way.
I didn't want to cause any commotion or dissension. I wanted everything to go as if it was normal.
Growing up, I was born at this time. It was never normal. There was always some tension about something.
I want to hear from your mother. Ron, could you please escort their mom into the courtroom? I want to talk to her.
Well, 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 what an interesting entry. This woman did not hear anyone's testament, but she walks into the courtroom and calls Mr. Scales a liar, straight up. Now, what is he lying about? The entire thing from the affair? His intentions from the beginning? Now this woman needs to spill the tea. Well, okay, this just got way more interesting than any of us bargained for. We asked Ms. Williams to spill some of the beans, but she spilled the entire pot instead. So what? It turns out we've been trying to figure out the paternity of the wrong child all along. What is going on with your family, Ms. Williams? What is really going on?
If he was gonna doubt a child, he should doubt Tanja. When I had the affair with the person in question, when I met
I rest my case, Your Honor.
In question.
Oh, so already there's a cycle as it is. Now we have to find out if truly this cycle would be broken today or not. If the cycle continues, we just have to wish that these girls don't carry it on and hope for the best. Let's get the results.
Mr. Scales, you are her father. Mr. Scales, you are her father.
Mission accomplished.
Mission accomplished.
He broke off their engagement 2 weeks ago because she cheated on him. This next couple are quite the pair. Ms. Gregory and Mr. Elston were engaged to be married. Just 2 weeks ago, Mr. Elston called it off because of paternity doubts over their son, baby Carson.
It's very important for me to save my family because I feel that my kids, both of them, my unborn child and Carson, deserves their father. And I feel that we got engaged in May. He broke up with me 2 weeks ago because of paternity issues.
Okay, hold up. 2 kids? There are 2 kids. As per, this woman is pregnant for him again as it is? Well, okay. One would wonder why exactly they got pregnant again after breaking up the engagement. However, considering that they broke it off 2 weeks ago, it low-key adds up.
I'm actually the one who caught her ex in the driveway. My brother was out of town. He's a hard-working man. He works to take care of Carson, Carly, and the unborn child. And he called me. He told me to go to the house.
Whoops! Looks like we're getting right to it. Now that we've established that someone is definitely lying in the courtroom today, it should be fun trying to figure out who it is. Is it Ms. Gregory lying about her ex in his pickup truck? Or is it Mr. Elston's sister lying about seeing Ms. Gregory's ex?
Me and Mr. Elston met through my ex at a basketball game. I was dating.
Through your ex?
I was dating my ex and he was cheating on me at the time, so I felt comfort in Mr. Elston. He had a girlfriend also. We started sleeping together 2 weeks after we met.
My goodness. So the entirety of their relationship was based on lies and cheating. They met, cheating on both their exes. He got her pregnant, but still stayed with his girlfriend regardless, denied her pregnancy, and now, somehow, they got engaged. Whoa, couple of the year.
I get in the hospital room, I go get the baby from her, like, we sit down, take a picture, and I looked at him
Your
real
exact
closely.
words was, he's too white.
And Your
That's
Honor,
exactly what he said.
the baby didn't look like me. He don't have my nose, my ears, my eyes, or nothing. And I just got up and gave her the baby and I walked out.
He wanted nothing to do with the pregnancy because she didn't see him throughout the 9 months she was pregnant for. Now that she had an emergency C-section and was in the hospital for 5 days, he walked in the second day, picked up the baby, dropped him, and then walked right back out.
Right.
How did that happen?
3 weeks after I had Carson, he started coming around more. So we ended up getting into a relationship. We got engaged and we was doing good. And then I got pregnant in June.
Well, whoops. Now, that was fast. They got engaged and got pregnant again a bit too fast. So here they are, engaged to be married and still sorting out issues like other men being in the picture. What is this entire thing even about? What are relationships anymore?
You text back, are they hugged up or anything? And she texts back, yes. Was this the ex that she saw you hugged up with?
Yes, Your Honor.
So you admit you were hugged up with your ex then?
Yes, in April.
Okay, so she admits to being hugged up by her ex in the living room, but says they didn't have sex. Ms. Gregory also admits that this happened in April, not March. Yeah, but you were still with Mr. Elston, so does the month it happened even matter, Ms. Gregory?
You just weren't sleeping with him anymore, but you just happened to go out to dinner with him and his whole family and put a post up about it and say, I love you with a heart.
Yes, Your Honor.
Judge Lake is on a roll. What a woman. It makes no sense to claim to not be with your ex 1 month, but then go out to dinner with him the next month with his entire family, then post about it. Ms. Gregory then went on to say that they did eventually have sex one time, but he wore a condom. Cheating is still cheating, okay?
And is he the only person you had sex with in February?
No, Your Honor.
Oh, yes, Your Honor. She forgot
Well,
to
who
mention
else
a
did
part
you
about
have
her.
sex with?
My friend's boyfriend.
Well, this is juicy information. What a woman. She had sex with her ex and her friend's boyfriend in a threesome, then went on to sleep with her own boyfriend the very next month. Now, does this mean there are 3 men in the picture? Why does Ms. Gregory seem to not understand the concept of commitment? Skipping right to the end of this, let's get to the results.
Mr. Elston, you are not the father. I'm sorry, Mr. Elston, you are not Carson's biological father.
Yeah, man. Put myself in a situation where I thought I could trust her and, you know.
Last on the list, James and Woods met over about 2 years ago via some mutual friends. Aubrey had an ex at the time who she had a very rocky relationship with. Regardless, the two hit it off quite nicely at a Valentine's Day party.
I seen her there and she was crying, and I asked her what was wrong, and she said her and her ex got into a fight because he didn't want to come. So I spent like 30 minutes trying to cheer her up, and then we left and we had sex 3 times, and she felt bad because she cheated on her boyfriend at the time.
Whoa, okay. What an interesting turn of events. 2 months later, Aubrey calls Woods right in the middle of work to break some interesting news to him. What a woman, really. You did not see this coming.
Yes, Your Honor.
Did you use protection?
No.
So when you found out you were pregnant, you immediately called Mr. Woods.
Yes, but I told him that he was not the father, that it could be somebody else.
You did. Mr. Woods, that's not what your testimony was.
She did not tell me that, Your Honor.
She says she told you that it could be
did not.
somebody else.
This has to be the cutest thing. What a beautiful reaction to the news about a baby. From here on out, Woods showed an overwhelming amount of support. We get to see how much of a kind-hearted person Cody truly is.
Once you found out you were having a baby, you started going to the doctor's appointments, what else did you do?
I was excited. I started building a nursery, and I spent many nights with her when she was sick, throwing up, and I went to work the next day.
It just keeps getting better. However, all of this is happening without an actual relationship between the two. Speaking of relationships, it brings up the important question, where is Aubrey's ex? What exactly happened with him? This is where we're introduced to just how much of a respectable man he is.
How did you ask her?
Well, the only thing she could really keep down was chicken nuggets, so I took her to the restaurant, and I proposed to her with chicken nuggets, and I said I'd be one happy nugget if you'd marry me.
It's a popular belief that people should go out of their way with helicopters and diamond rings. Cody, on the other hand, gave the most intentional proposal that probably exists. What a beautiful, cost-effective method. Not only is Cody Woods such a hopeless romantic, he happens to be a great father too. Wait for it.
Deep down in my heart, I feel like she's my daughter. I mean, if she's not, it's gonna break my heart. I mean, I've been through everything. I love this girl to death. Like, for the past year, I've been there.
What a nugget indeed. Unfortunately, everything seems to go downhill from here. Apparently, Aubrey knew that Cody was not the father for quite a while now. When she was asked about this, here is what ensued.
So, Ms. James, if you had these doubts, why did you allow Mr. Woods to sign the birth certificate?
Because he proposed to me and he knew that it was right to propose to someone if he wanted to take responsibility of the child.
So you allowed him to sign the birth certificate because he had proposed to you?
And because he said that he always wanted to be there, rather if it was his child or not.
What an interesting thing to say. One could almost call Aubrey an entitled woman. It sounds as if she kept using him solely because he made himself available to her. Now, little Addison has a legal father as well as a biological father. What an interesting turn of events. If Aubrey knew he was not the biological father as she said she did, one would think she would just say so. Cody found out about this in the most dramatic manner, as expected.
We was living together at the time, we were still engaged, and we got to a big fight, and I walked outside, and she came out with me, and that's when she said that Addison may not be mine, I could be her ex.
Why did you say that to him in that moment, Ms. James?
Because out of spite to get to him, and also because I've told him before that he wasn't the father.
What a woman. They broke up afterwards, but Cody did not make himself a stranger to Aubrey or little Addison. However, it looks like Aubrey is okay with being in a relationship with Cody primarily for the sake of little Addie. After telling him to his face that he is not the biological father of her daughter, Aubrey is still stating that Cody is currently not catering for Addison properly. What a case.
You seem to again acknowledge in November 2016 that he's your fiance and Addison's father.
Yes, Your Honor.
So even though you say you have from the beginning said he may not be her biological father, it seems as if you were living and operating and holding out to the public that he is her biological father.
What a confusing turn of events. It gets even worse. After all the banter, the DNA results are revealed. The court is tense. It feels like everyone's on the edge of their seats.
Mr. Woods, you are not the father.
What a twist. Woods simply could not take it. He needed to take a moment to get himself sorted. The case ended with him saying the most wholesome thing.
Mr. Woods, thank you for coming back in. I'm very sorry.
I'm still gonna be there.
Ms. James, is there anything you want to say to Mr. Woods in this moment?
I would still let you be in Addison's life and be there for her.
This is extremely hard because it's complex.
Mr. Silva thinks that men are allowed to cheat. So when he cheats on his girl, it isn't a big deal and she should never go cheating back. Yup, listen to him say it as it is.
I always felt like it was okay for men to go out, have sex, and, you know, cheat, come home to their family, and women can't go out, have sex, and, you know, come home, and especially with a baby.
Okay, that was crazy. But let's take a ride back to the beginning of this case. Why is Mr. Silva even in court? Well, he thinks that his girlfriend, Ms. Reeves, cheated on him, and her child isn't his.
Ms. Reeves, you are here today to prove that the defendant, Mr. Silva, is the biological father of your 7-month-old son, Legend.
Yeah, Mr. Silva. Why do you keep asking her? It isn't like women can lie or like they lie about paternity issues ever. But you know what? Ms. Reeves thinks Mr. Silva is a good guy and still wants to be with him no matter what. Here is what Mr. Silva thinks of that.
Don't trust her, Your Honor. I feel like she's tricking me into believing that I'm Legend's.
Started because all he wanted to do was cheat on me. I've been nothing but faithful to him since I first met him.
And so you believe...
Hey, someone come get Aegon the Conqueror here. He just needs to switch a few things up, like dye his hair white, lose maybe 20 pounds, and get 3 huge dragons. Because there's no way a defendant in Judge Lake's court thinks he is here to conquer anything.
In the conquering and the ruling of man, inclusive in that is the right to cheat, have other women outside the relationship, but women cannot, right?
I don't know about you, but this dude is about the weirdest conqueror I have ever seen, and I am kind of wishing that this baby actually belongs to another man. But that isn't what Ms. Reeves thinks.
Once I told him that I was pregnant, he was like, okay, with who?
Your Honor, we were broken up for 4 weeks, Your Honor. I called her texting her ex.
And is that why you broke up?
Yes, Your Honor.
When you
I confronted her
with
about texting her ex. You know, this ain't, you know, the...
What? A conqueror was stumped by a measly password? No way. Say it ain't so. So our man here, Mr. Aegon Silva, thinks that his girlfriend had something to hide just because she changed her password. She thinks that is bonkers.
Why do you keep asking me what I have to hide when every single time I turn around it's another female texting my phone like, oh, I was just dating I was just dating your boyfriend. Your boyfriend is my boyfriend. That's
the craziest thing about this case isn't the paternity scare or the fact that we have a living and breathing Targaryen in the courtroom with us. The craziest thing is that this beautiful woman still wants to stay with Mr. Silva despite everything he has done. That is insane. But here are some more details.
How long were you broken up before she told you she was pregnant?
Was broken up for about 3-4 weeks, a month, and I didn't hear from her. So at the time, she gets booked to model and promote events.
Yeah, Mr. Silva cannot wrap his mind around the fact that people can text on a daily basis while not slamming genitals together. He just can't compute it. But to be fair, why is Ms. Reeves talking to her ex so much? And here are even crazier details.
Tell her I want a DNA test. In the hospital, none but her family was there. I was by myself. I came in. As soon as the, Legend was born, the doctor came in the room, straight to me and gave me the paper.
Wow, someone really pressured Aegon the Conqueror to sign a birth certificate? That is an even crazier story than the Song of Fire and Ice. But now, Legend. The baby in question is 7-month-old, and Mr. Silva is here to find out if he is the father. Here is how he puts it.
I just needed this DNA test. That's the only way we could work on our relationship. That's the only way that I can continue loving my son and loving her. Because I do love her, Your Honor.
You dying by that double-edged sword.
Well, the man says he just has his doubts. What are you going to do? Crucify him? The Conqueror is allowed to have his doubts without everyone killing him for it. And now let us find out who is really the father of this baby.
Mr. Silva, you are the father. You are the father.
That's all I needed to know, Your Honor. Now, I'm sorry, and I did have my doubt with Legend.
Mr. Parker hasn't given Mrs. Parker, his estranged wife, a single penny for the care of their daughter, and his reason is simple. He doesn't believe the baby is his. Well, Mrs. Parker and her mom are in court to tell him he has lost his mind.
You say your advice to Ms. Bailey and her daughter is to take their lawsuit, find the real father of the child, and sue him.
Yes, Your Honor.
You're seeking the result?
Really? Hey, come on, guys, really? This man took a good long look at that baby's face and thinks, hey, that is not my baby, really. It is either he needs glasses or something even crazier is going on here. Let us see.
Tell me about your lawsuit.
Well, Your Honor, I've come here today because Mr. Parker has done nothing, not a single thing for my daughter or my grandson. He left her when she was 16 weeks pregnant, didn't look back.
Wow. That is tough. The fact that Mrs. Parker has had to shoulder the burden of this baby doesn't look good on Mr. Parker at all, but he doesn't look like he cares. Then the judge asks the question all of us want to know the answer to.
What type of relationship has he established with Zechariah thus far?
Nothing. Zero. He doesn't even know what he looks like. He's never laid eyes on him.
You don't even know what he looks like, Mr. Parker?
No, Your Honor.
Oh, I see where the issue is. If Mr. Parker had seen this kid at least once, he would know that the baby belongs to him, but he hasn't, so he has to go through this entire process to get to the conclusion anyone with eyes can see. Why did Mr. Parker even leave his wife?
Wasn't so much leaving, ma'am, as being run out of the home, Your Honor.
What do you mean? Explain.
The last few days there, Your Honor, she told me that I wasn't worth nothing.
Bottom line, Mr. Parker left the house because of food. And yeah, he looks like the sort of sturdy fella who would do something like that. If you gave anyone 10 guesses why he would get mad enough to leave his home, most people would guess food. But that isn't all, you see. Mr. Parker has another complaint.
Eating separate meals. I would cook something for me and my stepson, Jacob. Then she would come behind and fix herself like a steak or whatever else out of the refrigerator.
What did Mr. Parker think was even going on in this bedroom? And how could it get him so mad that he decided to leave home over it? Maybe there might have been some dirty photos in there, he says, but why would anyone keep photos like that in a room?
Living room floor, and I was not to eat anything in the home. I was to go to work and bring money home, and that was it.
No, Your Honor, he wasn't. I was pregnant.
So let us get this right. Mr. Parker thinks this child isn't his because of some business about food and makeup and some room she never opened for him? Really? Does he even have any actual argument for why the child does not belong to him?
I was told I was too annoying and I needed to stay home. At this point, I didn't know if she was taking another man or family or who.
Ms. Parker?
Oh, okay, this is getting spicy. So Mrs. Parker told the hospital not to put anyone's name on the birth certificate? She says she gave them his name, but somehow they didn't put the name on there. The child didn't even get Mr. Parker's last name. Now we can see why Mr. Parker is mad. Let us hear from his witness.
They separated
Your Honor, she had brought him to my mother's and dumped him out 2 or 3 times because she needed some time alone. And then she'd call him and want him to come back when it was payday.
Yeah, congrats on being halfway through your 2nd degree, but that doesn't mean you should avoid giving your baby his father's last name. And now it is time for us to finally find out the truth. Who is the father here?
Mr. Parker,
Yes, Your Honor.
you are his father.
I told you.
Told you.
We're going to finish paying the lawyer and file for custody.
I'm done with this.
This woman hid the fact that she had a child from her boyfriend till the baby was 5 months old. Now, the man has decided to put their wedding on hold till he figures out exactly what is going on.
You put your wedding on hold because you're positive you are not the father.
Yes, Your Honor.
Not only did Ms. Robinson hide the pregnancy, she didn't tell you about Tanila until she was 5 months old. Is that correct?
Well, at least she is honest. Mr. Parker clearly loves this child so much and is willing to do everything for her. But what he will not do is accept lies. Now let us hear Ms. Robinson's side of the story.
He didn't know around the time that I have pregnant that I was seeing someone else. And that's where the possibility come from, that Tanila can...
Hold up, this is crazy. So Ms. Robinson cheated on this man but somehow thinks he is at fault for postponing their wedding, and she is blaming him for not bringing it up immediately? And yes, things are about to get crazier. Let us listen to Mr. Parker.
But then, you know, she started to be more distant herself, and, you know, the calls started not coming in. She didn't start showing up.
Towards you.
Yes, you were.
I was spending multiple times
with someone else.
Again, at least she is honest. It isn't every day you get someone on paternity court who is as honest about their cheating ways as Ms. Robinson is here. Now let us hear Mr. Parker share the insane story of how he learned he even had a child in the first place.
She came to my house. I asked her, I was so shocked at her. I was like, hey, how you doing today? You know, I seen a long time ago. And all of a sudden, it was a baby there. So I'm like, who's this baby of yours? You know, and she was like, this your child. And I said, what? My child? What do you mean, my child?
Okay, that makes sense. But then you had the 5th month up to the 9th month, and then you had the baby, and then you had the baby for 5 whole months, and you still did not call? That is crazy work. But hold up, she has a good excuse.
Were you with anybody else during that time?
Yes, Your Honor, I was.
The one he saw you holding hands with?
Yes, Your Honor.
Did you tell that guy you were pregnant?
When I confirmed my pregnancy, Your Honor, yes, I have told him, but
Ms. Robinson, you started off honest, and now you are just going off the rails. So she could tell the other guy that she was pregnant, but could not tell that to the actual father of the baby. Why? Because she was scared? And guess what she told the other guy?
Oh, you told the other guy from the park holding hands, you're the father.
Yes, Your Honor.
You told him that he was the father? Are you serious? I thought you told me I was the dad.
I did.
Gosh, Mr. Parker is such a stand-up guy for even being here at all. Loads of other dads just would not bother. But at least the other guy just came to the hospital and didn't do anything crazy like sign the birth certificate, right?
The guy signed the birth certificate?
Yes, Your Honor.
What? Are you serious?
I didn't know how to tell you.
Are you serious? A birth certificate?
Yes.
He signed the birth certificate?
Yes.
Be his child signed?
Yeah, I wonder why he was there. Probably because he was the only one you told that you were even pregnant. Mr. Parker could have been there if you told him, but since you didn't, here we are. This is just crazy. And Mr. Parker knows it too.
That supposed to be my child. If that is my child, how did this man sit here and just sign the birth certificate? And that just really hurts me right now, Your Honor, because I feel like I love this baby to death for me.
Ms. Robinson will gaslight this man to death. Mr. Parker clearly loves this child to death, and you wouldn't believe it, but this case has one more twist in it that will absolutely blow your mind.
Let this man sign a birth certificate.
Yes.
Then he just disappears?
He stayed for, like I say, a month, and then after that, it just fell apart.
Well, she was clearly lying then, because there is at least one other possibility, and that is what we are here to find out in paternity court. But what is up with this other guy? What is his deal? Let us find out.
A relationship?
We were in a relationship, Your Honor, but he was cheating on me, so.
So you said you knew the whole time that the child was Mr. Parker's, even though you lied and said it was the other guy.
Phew, this is one crazy case, and it is finally time to get to the bottom of this insanity. Is Mr. Parker the real father of this baby? And does this child belong to someone else? Let us find out.
Mr. Parker, you are not Tanila's father.
Oh my God. Ooh, I'm sorry.
Sis!
I'm sorry.
Like a whole year wasted, man.
As a side guy, you never want to become the father of a baby. I mean, that's the whole reason you're a side guy anyway. But Mr. G got more than what he bargained for when Ms. Cates told him that he was the father of her 2-year-old son. Let us see how it went down.
The only reason the plaintiff is pinning the baby on you is because she knows you are a stand-up guy. However, in the case of Messiah's paternity, you will take a seat.
Wow, look at that. The stand-up side guy has decided to take a seat. That is something that has never happened in the history of things never happening, right? And it gets even more interesting, if you can believe it.
We met through a mutual friend and we just hit it off. You know, when I seen him, I just thought that he was the most handsomest guy I ever seen on this word, but.
And so how soon after you met?
Oh, really? That's new. And what music stuff might that be? You see, Mr. Take a Seat stand-up side guy also happens to be some sort of hood-famous rapper, and he thinks that is why Ms. Cates wants to pin a baby on him. Here is how he puts it.
I'm hood famous, right, you feel me? Like everybody in my city know me. You know what I'm saying?
You say you hood famous.
Yeah, and she just want a piece of that. You know what I'm saying?
And that's why you think she's trying to pin the baby on you.
Yeah.
So now we know that Ms. Cates was hiding something from the dude she met and smashed on the very first day she met him. What could she have been hiding? Well, let us find out.
Club with this guy, that guy, and it'd be too close for comfort. You're not finna be all in this guy every time I turn around, all in this face. It was more than just dancing and all the extra. It was more than that.
How you won't?
Well, what did your brother expect when he got with a woman he slept with on the same night he met her? These are things that just come with the game, and there is even crazier things coming out right now.
Seeing him and someone else at the same time.
Well, that's the white lie then.
Yeah, that's the white lie. I'm not denying that I...
Oh, so if she were actually in a relationship with someone else, why was she denying it all this while? That is insane work, Ms. Cates. Insane. So she was seeing 2 men, and she now has a baby. And one of the men she was saying says her baby cannot be his. Crazy stuff. Here is what Mr. G thinks.
How did you get away with sleeping with 2 men at the same time? How did you keep each of them?
Okay, I stayed 2 hours away from him. So that's how that happened. I was, you know, I guess I had the ball in my court where...
Yup, now we are getting somewhere. Mr. Cates says she knows for sure that Mr. G is her baby's father, but she was in a relationship with a whole nother man the whole time. So how does she know he is really her baby's father? Here is what she says. Wait a minute.
Local artist, so he took me to a party that at the studio where they threw like a pool party, and we had fun that night. We went out, even after we partied there, we went club hopping, and then...
She was using protection with the other guy, but not the guy who was her side guy? Really? That is the story she is going with? Crazy story, but hey, at least she's got one.
Fair question. When you found out you were pregnant, you contacted Mr. G. Did you tell the other guy?
No, I didn't tell the other guy because he's the daddy. I didn't feel like I needed to tell the other guy. The other guy is non-existent.
Really? This is crazy, but at least now we can get to the end of this case and finally decide who the father of Messiah is. We have the DNA test results and everything, and here is what that result says.
Mr. G, you are not the father.
Told you so.
I'm sorry, Mr. G.
Ms. Martin cheated on her fiancé, Mr. Pinner, around the time she conceived her child, and then Mr. Pinner was forced to sleep on the couch permanently, but she still somehow believes that her child is Mr. Pinner's. Here is how it starts out.
About the status of your relationship right now, what's going on?
Well, at this point, me and Romeo have no relationship because of the paternity of our daughter. I made one mistake back in the past that he knew about, and now he's claiming that he knows nothing about it.
Okay, I think we already know what sort of mistake Ms. Martin made. The crazy thing about paternity court is when women who have cheated on their partners pretend like their partners have no reason to distrust them, and this might be one of those cases.
We've talked about this mistake, Ms. Martin, and I think we need to understand exactly what was the mistake.
I'm going to tell her about the mistake. At the point in time, Romeo was doing him, as we say, partying, not coming home. I completely moved to Wisconsin with him.
Well, our boy Mr. Pinner says no one ever told him that and that he only heard about this after she got pregnant, which is insane if true. A month after she got pregnant? Which means she did not even use protection.
I asked her, I said, who do you have sex with? Blank man?
No,
you know, because
really.
How do you not know who you slept with? That's just, to me,
I told you it was drinking and everything
that's
involved,
irresponsible.
but
that's very irresponsible as a mother.
Phew, this is crazy. And Ms. Martin says that Mr. Pinner, at the time, agreed to put everything behind them and move forward. But Mr. Pinner insists that this is a complete lie, and he never agreed to anything of such. Here is what Mr. Pinner says.
After finding out that you was so irresponsible to have sex with somebody and not know who it is.
But the point is, I told you, you're acting like I waited a month later, and that is not the case. You are lying.
And that is the bottom line here. Mr. Pinner does not know if baby Royal belongs to him or not, and he thinks that the child may actually belong to another man. And if the child does, he is planning on nuking this relationship. Let us find out more.
Think of the window of conception. Does this incident fall near that window?
Yes,
ma'am, it
I had sex with him probably 2 days after the fact that I told him that, and it all falls in about the same time.
How soon after that was Royal Blue?
That is how paternity secrets straight up destroys lives. It unravels everything and leaves families broken and torn apart. We can only hope that this secret doesn't do the same to this family, and then things get crazier.
Her oldest daughter, she changed completely. I guess she felt like she missed something. She started to go out partying, kicking it, in clubs. She met her some friends, started going here and there, and I wasn't gonna have that.
Oh, so Mr. Pinner has made his own mistakes too. And we have been on paternity court long enough to know that just means cheating. But we already know what is going on here. It is so easy. They got distant. Mr. Pinner cheats on her, Miss Martin cheats on him, and Mr. Pinner gets mad because he thinks the baby isn't his. But Miss Martin is the one who loses this tit for tat. But did Mr. Pinner participate in the pregnancy?
Participated for about 3 or 4 months.
That's not true, Your Honor.
And that was it.
That's not true, Your Honor.
He went to doctor's appointments with me, Your Honor.
Yes, I did.
Until I decided one morning I woke up because he didn't come home, I packed.
This is such an heavy case. Both sides have some fault here because they have both made mistakes, but Mr. Pinner is trying to make it seem like he's the innocent party. But it just isn't true. Here is what he thinks.
Stupid.
He planned it.
And to me, I said that was irresponsible.
How do you feel like she made you feel stupid?
She started partying, going out, and being a different person. I was trying to move forward. I don't want a bunch of guys around my child.
The only way to get to the bottom of this case is through the DNA test result. And thankfully, it is right here. So who is the father of this baby? A man that Ms. Martin cannot even remember, or someone else?
Mr. Pinner, you are the father.
It's
over.
Sorry.
I'm so sorry.
It's finally over.
I'm so sorry. From the bottom of my heart, I'm so sorry.
This has been so hard. This has been so hard.
I apologize.
Ms. Serfanzo says that her daughter Sinite is her miracle baby because she was always told she would never have kids. But now she has a baby, and that baby has 3 possible fathers. Yup, exactly.
Mr. Miller, you and your fiance, Ms. Dreyer, say Ms. Serfoso is lying about paternity, and you have physical proof.
Yes, ma'am.
So, Ms. Serfoso, I have to ask you this.
Wow, she was indeed party central. 3 whole men. And that is what happens when you turn your body to party favors. You end up coming to paternity court to find out who the father of your kid is. Anyway, the supposed father has something to say about that.
Vaguely remember meeting her at my family member's house at a party. I was partying a lot, and they said I took her upstairs, and I don't remember.
They said.
Wow, we have got an interesting case for ourselves here. Ms. Serfanzo says that this was a well-established relationship that involved multiple times together throughout months. And Mr. Miller, who is here with his wife, says that is a lie. Let us see how he puts it.
There's no possible way there was months.
Well, how long were you with her?
That night, if any.
The reason we had broken off is because he went to my best friend. I caught his car at my best friend's house.
Yeah, I have a weird feeling that if that friend suddenly turned up with a baby, Mr. Miller would immediately forget that he ever slept with her best friend. Just a feeling, but hold on, because it is about to go down.
One of them actually was throughout my whole pregnancy with me, cut her umbilical cord, and actually pursued on until he was excluded.
You've had a DNA test with that gentleman.
And that is the bombshell. Ms. Serfanzo says she knows and is 1,000,000,000% sure that her kid is Mr. Miller's baby, even though she was sleeping with 2 other men at the time. Shocking? Now let us see what Mr. Miller's partner has to say about all of this.
She never texted me or him or anybody to start with. In December of 2013, I was talking to my ex who had ended up with Mr. Fozo, and he says, well, I'm here with Michael's baby.
It looks like Mr. Miller is telling a lie. You just know that his partner confronted him about the baby news, and he was like, honey, I have never seen this woman before in my life. And he just rode with that lie, because he doesn't want to confess that he slept with her. After all, if he'd never seen her, how would he even know that he slept with her best friend? But he has a proof that he isn't the father.
In August, when the time was supposed to happen, I was in South Carolina, and I have a ticket right here to prove that I got in August.
Jerome, hand me that.
That is as good as any evidence you are going to find about things like this on paternity court, and that is just the truth. But here is one thing wrong with that evidence, and Judge Lake points it out.
But if my math is right, sometime in September could have also been a window of conception for the baby.
That was not
All of her
there.
friends even say she sleeps with guy to guy to guy to guy.
Ms. Serfanzo says there is absolutely no other possible father for this child. She even says the baby looks like him, and that even his mother says she acts like him. So this baby has to belong to Mr. Miller. And Ms. Serfanzo has a moving reason why she thinks Mr. Miller should absolutely step up.
Don't know who her father is.
And she deserves to know who her father is. That is correct.
Yes, I had a party face. I'm not going to deny that, Judge.
Well, if Mr. Miller and his partner are not trying to dodge responsibility for this child, then why don't they accept him? Well, that is one question we are only going to answer when we take a look at what the DNA test results say.
Mr. Miller, you are not her father.
Told you.
Thank God. Thank God.
So now where's the other man?
I'm glad he's not. I'm glad, Willie, that he's not her father. I'm sorry that I had to put him through this. I just want to know who her father is.
She slept with 7 other men within her conception window. Mr. DeLeon has had it up to here with Ms. Ramirez. She claims he is the father of her 2 babies. However, this man is not having it. Mr. DeLeon accuses Ms. Ramirez of continuous infidelity.
Ms. Ramirez, take me back to the circumstances that you found out you were pregnant with your first child.
Well, at the time, well, just to say right now, Your Honor, that I'm very disappointed in Gilbert for everything. Gilbert was homeless at the time when I first met him, and I asked my mom if he can move in with us, and she said yes.
Oh, what a way to start the case. Looks like this is one of those situations where the woman was with him from the very beginning. He smokes weed too? Looks like Mr. DeLeon is not exactly the picture-perfect, done-no-wrong father he's claiming to be.
At the time, when me and Gilbert were together, we got in a big argument. I left and I met someone else, an old friend, slept with him, went back to Gilbert a few days later, and I let him know that I was pregnant and the baby may not be his. And I gave him that option either to stay or to go. And he decided—
Excuse me, I find that incorrect.
Whoa, hold up. These two are just gearing up to be so chaotic. Ms. Ramirez went ahead to sleep with a random old friend simply because she got into an argument with her partner? Who even does that?
Are the dates of conception for your child Ian?
Yes, ma'am.
In yellow is outlined the dates that you had intimate relations with Mr. De Leon.
Yes, ma'am.
The other color outlines the dates you were intimate with a friend.
Yes, ma'am.
And this entire time is the estimated dates of—
Oh my goodness, what is going on? She color-coded the dates of her intimacy? This woman shot herself in the leg just to prove a point. So she was with her husband for just 3 days and with other men for 4 solid days. What a woman. Now, does Mr. DeLeon know about the details, or is this news to him too?
I actually had to find out on my own. She didn't tell me that she was having intimate relationships with other people. And at the same time, I would ask her, is everything okay? Do you love me? Do you don't love me? She would tell me yes. You know, nothing else is going on until I found text messages on her phone about another guy stating, you know, hey.
What a woman. He found out about all of this completely by himself after snooping through her phone. So she lied about it too? The least she could do when he caught on to her lies is admit that she has been cheating on him. But this woman lied? Would you look at that?
And caught her red-handed.
So at that point, you knew that you may or may not be Ian's father.
Yes, that's when I began having my doubts about paternity.
But it wasn't the voluntary disclosure that Ms. Ramirez suggests.
When she found out that she was pregnant, she told me I was the dad.
Oh, so now Ms. Ramirez is asking why he doubts paternity. It seems to make no sense to the woman. The thing is, Ms. Ramirez, if a man does not trust you because you slept with 7 men during your conception window, they tend to not accept the preceding baby. That's simply how the world works.
So I took it upon myself and brought her into the home. Well, at that point in time that she went off and told me that my friend ended up touching her on the leg and say, hey, let's go to the room. She came down and ran to me and told me, hey, he's doing this, I don't like this. 2 weeks later, I find out she ends up having sex with him.
With your roommate?
Yes, and how I found out that, I got off work.
Oh, wow. So he did find out all by himself. My goodness, what a woman. In addition to all of this, they have 2 babies together at different intervals. Why do these 2 have babies together even after such bickering between them?
I hear a lot of women stand in my courtroom and they're always saying, well, the reason why I did this or the reason why I did that is because they were working. Now, that's a good thing that he's working.
Okay.
Especially when he has 2 children to support.
Yes, ma'am.
And a family, so what was wrong with that?
Whoa, just 2? She slept with him just because? This woman deserves a medal for being such a shitty person. How do you cheat on your husband with the most random men while he's out working, trying to support the family, and your excuse is just because? Why don't you get yourself out of the house and work too, Ms. Ramirez?
We hadn't talked for a couple of months because we got in an argument. I get a call from her stating, hey, I'm pregnant. And I'm like, okay, why does that concern me? You know, she's like, it's your kid. And I was like, how is it my kid when you've slept with so many other guys? How do I know it's mine? And she's like, well, I want you to be here in the hospital.
Isn't that something? After the serial cheating and everything else Ms. Ramirez put this man through, he kept taking her back. God knows why. He showed up at the hospital too for both births. What a guy. Now he's doubtful of the paternity of the kids. Rightfully so too. To settle this mess of a case, the results are ready and here they are.
When it comes to 2-year-old Ian, Mr. De Leon are his father.
Mr. McRae is out to prove this woman wrong. He claims the baby